What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning John Skipper. John Skipper, in a recent interview with Boxing News 24, admits to messing up the $100 million Deontay Wilder deal. Now, let me go into detail what he said, because I know the title of him admitting that he messed up the deal. This is what he had to say about messing up the deal, okay? He said, in retrospect, I was too brash going in there without creating the relationships I needed to create with the people who advised Deontay Wilder. I have not worked to do that. It has to do with going back to the education I needed before getting into boxing. When we left that Wilder meeting, I knew we messed up and that we weren't going to be successful. Wilder. Okay. All right. Wilder, that was what Wilder said, I think. No. That's half of what the bottom part was what Wilder said. John Skipper went to say, quote, we were impatient after having some early success. We wanted to move quickly. Now I understand that I've got to work relationships, work within a framework, and understand other people's self-interest and needs as well. If I had to do it again, I'd have gone and said, I'm playing the long game. I'm playing the long game with Canelo and Triple G too. Now, me reading this, I think this was an era of personality. I think a lot of people's personality clash, especially when the way Wilder explained it, and well, actually, Shelly Finkel, he explained it like, hey, we need to know how much both sides are getting, and and then the way they were talking, and like Shelly Finkel said, it sounded good. That's what he said. It sounded good, and he had the presentation together. It's just that we wanted to have the questions that we had. They weren't expecting us to ask certain questions. Well, honestly, if I'm John Skipper, I wouldn't expect you to ask me how much is Anthony Joshua getting, because that's a contract based on someone else's promotional company and another different meeting altogether. See, that's business. See, you don't come off and say information that is not valid for that particular meeting, because that's another meeting. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it took a certain amount of money that you blasted the opposite team for getting, which was $50 million, that same $50 million was presented to you, and then now it's mirrored over to you. Now you're looking at the reflection of what you say that you offered the other party times two. And your thing is you've went to other questions to try to avoid that particular offer. That's what I see. Now, maybe he did come in too brash, like he admitted, without creating the relationships it needs to create the people. But it's not about brown nosing. This is business, man. Like Lou DiBella said it best. It's business. You either present a fucking offer to someone, and if they either accept it or they don't, and that's really for the buyout. Like Lou DiBella said in an interview on the Boxing Voice. Okay, it's not about, oh, do you like this guy? You don't. It's not about that. It's about business. See, I'm thinking, Deontay Wilder is staying with Showtime, or a portion of Showtime and Fox PBC, because he likes the way people talk to him. I understand that to a certain degree, because a lot of times you can take a job and that job pays more, but then you just don't like your surroundings. Okay. That's different from a person that's working 40 hours a week for the next 20 years. This guy is offered 2 fights, no 3 fights. His mandatory fight for $20 million, the unified champion Anthony Joshua for $50 million, and again, the unified champion for $50 million, if he was unified or not, because Deontay Wilder could have won, right? So he could have had another $50 million, and that's 3 fights. How long did that take him? He already completed 1 fight. Okay? He could have fought another time this year, which was he's fighting Luis Ortiz fucking tomorrow. Okay, that's the first 50 million, and then the second 50 million could have been in April. That's the last. Jesus, that wasn't a lot of time. Matter of fact, damn, did that even take a year to complete that? You know what I'm saying? Maybe a year at the best. So a year you can make $120 million. And then now we just found out that you're only getting a guarantee of $3 million, the same amount of money that you received last year. So how can you honor people? Oh, because they talk to you a certain way. Who gives a fuck? You're making $3 million guaranteed on a fight that you made last year. Your profile's supposed to change significantly. So if that's the case, why the fuck are you still getting $3 million? His guarantee should be at least 10 to 15 million. You know? And that whole deal, you know, like it's just look, this is not a good enough excuse for me. You know, I should have built the relationships with Deontay and should have understood. Like, fuck all that. He offered you a deal, you didn't take it. And your excuse was you didn't know how much the other guy made as you're trying to compete with the other guy. That's what I see. That's all it really was. And again, I can't blame John Skipper for this. Now, did he come in a prick? I don't know. I wasn't there. Maybe he did. But he could have been too much of a prick for Shelly Finkel to turn around and say, well, you know, it sounded good. Everything he said, it sounded good. The presentation was good. Well, so if that was good, that was the business aspect of it. So why the fuck didn't you take the money? That tells me that you guys are still doing the same shit that you're doing last year. And since you're doing that, you really didn't want that fight. You really didn't want that fight to fight with Anthony Joshua. You weren't going to come out your shell. You weren't going to leave Showtime or Fox because it was too much vested interest from your promoters or advisors or managers or whoever the fuck they call themselves. Okay, because they were afraid they were going to be left out. Because without Steven Espinosa, all of a sudden he had such vested interest in Deontay until he takes a fight with Luis Ortiz prematurely, and then he drops him like a bad habit. Now make that make sense. Now it's on Fox pay-per-view. Now he's getting the same thing he made last year for a fight with Tyson Fury, but he's fighting Ortiz. I mean, there's nothing changed, you know? And I think they're getting screwed, but whatever. I mean, that's up to them. But with John Skipper, you know, we were impatient after having some early success. Of course he was impatient. You know why he was impatient? Because he's seen what Eddie Hearn related back to him because they've been trying to get Deontay Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua like for 4 or 5 different offers. And these 4 or 5 different offers fell through. They didn't even get looked at more than likely. Because Deontay Wilder was pretending to be a fucking movie star, a superstar, fighting Tyson Fury because this is his coming out party on pay-per-view. So they ignored the idea of any type of negotiations with Anthony Joshua or Team Joshua with Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. But at the same time, that didn't stop Deontay Wilder from promoting his own fight, talking shit about Anthony Joshua at any chance he got. That's all he did. Joshua, you scared, you running, you a coward. But at that same time, what was going behind the scenes, right? Offers were being sent over to Team Wilder, and they either didn't look at it, didn't reply, or what so have you. That is the story, people. John Skipper was the mediator. He came in, was like, look, I'm not on this side. I'm just with Dazn, and I want you guys to fight, and I'm offering you this. And they did not take it. You know, regardless of, he's trying to play damage control and stuff like that. Maybe he was too brash going in there, without creating relationships. But fuck, we wanted the fight. We wanted the fight. It's been going on for a year. Negotiations have been going on for a year. I would have that same attitude. Dude, look. We have this money for you. We understand you got a mandatory. We're going to offer you $20 million for your mandatory. Okay? Then we're going to give you $50 million to fight the guy that you say that's a coward, that's scared, that's running, that don't have heart, that don't have a heart of a champion. That guy. We're going to offer you $100 million to fight him twice. And he didn't take it. His team didn't take it. No one, you know what I'm saying? So it didn't have anything to do with him creating relationships. Relationships wouldn't have mattered anyhow. They didn't want the money. They claimed it wasn't because of how he acted or he was too brash or he was too impatient. They didn't want to reveal Anthony Joshua's fight purse because it was none of their fucking business. Bottom line. Okay? So anyway, this is me counterpunching this article. I'll leave it below in the description box, explaining what John Skipper was, saying. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.